I have a question. Do you believe in time travel? Hey, welcome. If you're new, welcome back. If we have met before, I'm Amanda. Consider me your digital big sister who comes at you with everything AI, techie, and self-development, self-improvement, because I believe that the two go hand in hand. AI and tech is not here to take over. They are here to amplify us and make us better, make us more human than we've ever been before. But enough about that. Let's talk about today's topic. I came across a very interesting social media post the other day citing that there are a few researchers that claim there might be evidence or a suggestion that time travel is a real thing. And the reason that I think my mind latched onto this is because since I was very young, I felt like I had experienced some sort of time travel. And if you stick around until the end of this video, I am going to share a few instances, a few examples from my life that make me believe that there is something to this. But first, let's take a look at one of the posts that I found that talked about this new finding. I want to give a huge disclaimer here. I found this post on social media. It was a few days ago, so this is not the original post that I found. I am now on LinkedIn, and I'm just going to quote what this author put in the post, because I found this was like the one that was the most to the point. But I do want to give the disclaimer that I have no clue who this researcher is. It's Julia Mossbridge. She has a PhD, is an American cognitive neuroscientist, futurist, and author known for her work on consciousness, time perception, precognition, and the intersection of science and spirituality. So that's very interesting. If I had time, which I will later, I'll go down the rabbit hole and I'll do some more digging on Julia. But regardless, the reason I'm covering this is because it sparked something inside of me. And I wanted to share it with you because I figured maybe there's somebody out there who feels the same about these topics. And to me, when we're pondering these subjects where there's yet to be real proof, I think it's healthy to have that, good dose of reality check and, not quote anything that we don't know for a fact is true. More research needs to be done. Things need to be double, triple checked 10 times, right? Before we can actually claim it to be science. But I still like it for the mental gymnastics and what it does to us as humans to imagine such a thing as time travel. If for no other reason, it's fun. So let's look at this post. So she holds a PhD in communication sciences and disorders from Northwestern University and MA in neuroscience from UC San Francisco. So, as far as I know, pretty reputable places. And she has her bachelor's in neuroscience from Oberlin College. So her research focuses on how the unconscious and conscious mind perceive time, the nature of unconditional love, and the potential of artificial intelligence to enhance human well-being. Love it. Mossbridge has recently said that gut feelings or intuition might actually be memories from the future. She offers a radical reframe where these gut instincts are not just unconscious pattern recognition based on the past, but potentially memories that have slipped the usual timeline, implying that time may not be strictly linear. So according to her, the brain could be a receiver of signals from beyond the present moment, making precognition a sort of early memory rather than this mystical fortune telling. This suggests that what people interpret as a gut feeling could be the brain accessing information from the future, not just the past. She grounds this idea in scientific studies, including experiments showing that brain activity spikes before unpredictable negative stimuli, indicating some form of anticipation. Mossbridge argues that if time is non-linear, as many physicists now believe, our consciousness may access fragments of the future, which explains the eerie accuracy of gut feeling in some situations. So isn't that fascinating? In fact, I'm just like, I have to go out and see what works are out there by Julia Mossbridge. I just think this is so interesting. Yes, Mossbridge. I think this is so fascinating. So I have a few stories that I want to share from my own life, and maybe it will spark you to share in the comments if you've experienced something similar. The first is actually a pretty big deal. During my childhood, not to get too deep, but I went through a few pretty traumatic experiences. And I vividly remember I was around 7 or 8 years old. I vividly remember praying or wishing that I had somebody to come save me from the situation that I was in. And I am the oldest of 4 girls, so I am the big sister in my family. There was no older brother, no older sister, nothing, right? I was also the oldest of all cousins on both sides of my family. So there was really no other role model in a sense. And I was not the little girl who was wishing for or praying for the knight in shining armor to ride in on a white horse and save me. In my mind, I vividly remember seeing a woman, a mature woman, I don't know what to call it, like not a girl, a grown woman, an adult woman, come to me in my mind and in my dreams. This happened multiple times during these years. And I just vividly remember her coming to save me, and she felt so safe and she felt so wise, and she was just like beautiful. You know how they usually depict religious figures like Jesus and stuff like that with a big halo behind them. That is how she would come into my dreams and how she would come into my mind. Fast forward to 2 years ago, I was just randomly at this event hosted in Vegas by one of my dear friends in business. And she had invited another now friend, Daisy, to do the breath work session during her event. And it was just a short breath work session. I had never done breath work before. So, I was like curious, but I haven't gotten into that, but I'm definitely woo curious, but I'm not like a big believer in these types of things. But I'll definitely give it a go. So we do the breath work, and it was crazy how I was brought back to that time in my life when I was going through this hardship as a young child. And it was so crazy. Like, I've done so much work, right? This is 30 years later. I am 38, literally 38 when I'm at this event. And I realized actually it took me a couple days. Like, it was a very impactful thing, but I met my younger self. So I met then I thought it was just my inner child. But a few days later, I believe it was in the middle of I wake up in the middle of the night and I realize that what had happened there was me at 38 meeting myself at 8 to save her. I had become, I'm going to try to not get emotional, but I had grown up to become my own knight in shining armor, my own savior. And that was such an insane, pivotal moment for me in my healing journey in regards to that trauma. And just in my view of life and the full circle of life continues to go on, right? We're never done with our leveling up and our healing. But that was really a loop that came to a full close. And it felt really significant. So I had gone my whole life and had a special connection to that experience that I had there around 7 or 8, where I would have that, figure in my mind. And it was there latent in the back of my head. And who would have thought that random, it wasn't even anything that had been in my mind, nothing had brought back memories or anything. It was so random that I was brought back to there. So I think that was pretty cool. And reading this article or reading this post definitely sparked that for me. Then I have I have 3 more stories if you got time. They're slightly different, but still there is that gut feeling, this just feeling of knowing has been the same in all of these experiences. So the next thing was the first time I met my husband. We met on a dating app, as many do these days. And so, we had chatted a little bit. I don't think we had even talked on the phone, but we meet out for drinks and dessert, of all things. We had we started with beers and then we had dessert. And he was cool and stuff. Obviously, he's now my husband, but we were taking things super slow. And I remember just thinking oh my gosh, this is a really cool guy and stuff like that. Not really reading into it much more than that in terms of romantic wise, right? At that point, we just known each other for an hour and a half, 2 hours. But I take a break. I go to a bathroom break, ladies' room, and something just comes over me. It was so intense. Again, just this knowing. And what it wasn't love at first sight, but there was this very deep knowing that he was going to be extremely important in my life. I did not know if that meant that he was going to become my best friend, if he was going to give me a job, if he was going to become a colleague, if he was I didn't know what role he was going to play. That's why I'm saying it wasn't love at first sight in terms of me just knowing this is the man I'm going to marry. But there was a very deep knowing. And this was after very just, first date, kind of shallow conversation and stuff like that. And I had never experienced that before. Okay, so then we eventually do get together, get married, we have kids. And so here's yet another different type of situation, and it is having my children. And I know a lot of parents say this, but it is so weird how both of my kids, both of them, I just feel I always knew it was going to be them. It is a knowing, a recognizing them in spite of you never having, seen them before. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like meeting an old dear friend. Now, that feeling, I know that, if we really want to go there and we want to get woo with it, could that be that we have lived lives together before, if you believe in those types of theories? Could it be just maternal instinct that we have a connection to our kids that just kind of like makes us feel that way? Or, like this post suggests, that it is some kind of time travel. Like, I am here, I am also before kids, and I am at the end of my life. Like, we are everywhere at any given point in time. And so we just know. And so there is that knowing and recognizing and remembering, especially with those people who are very important in our lives. The last little story is pretty trippy, I think. It is actually a reoccurring memory that I've had since as far back as I can remember. I think it started at some point when I was in my teens. So I grew up in Sweden, in southern Sweden, in the university city of Lund. It is a very old city, cobblestone streets, super cute. I won't be lazy and I'll just add some footage here because, when you live abroad, you become very proud. So I want to show off, but it is important to the story too, because it's this old historic town, right? But in this dream that I keep having, and the last time I had it was just maybe a few months ago or last year, I dream that I'm in Lund and parts of it still looks the same. But other parts of it, say 50 or 60% of it, is so different. Like, it feels like I'm visiting my old hometown, Lund, this old city, but in the future. And we're talking like way into the future. Or it feels like it. I don't know. Now with AI, who knows? Maybe these changes are coming faster than I would have thought. But I've always felt like it's really far into the future, maybe 100 years into the future. There is still a train and a train station, but the train is so fast that you can get from Lund, which is all the way down in southern Sweden, to the capital, which now takes with the fast train probably 4 or 5 hours. But if you take that fast train in my dream, you are at the capital within seconds. And it's like, you don't have to be strapped in or anything. It's just like basically immediate. I know the way things are laid out. Like, I know the good bakery in the corner of, like, these buildings already exist. They're hundreds of years old, but they've kind of, in my dream, been improved and remade. And there's a lot of modern structures next to it. On what is now a plaza, not being used for anything. There's some, trees and stuff like that. But I know the bakery at that corner. I know there's this big, huge sculpture in the middle of another large plaza, which is right by the big old church that exists. But this sculpture, this modern sculpture, does not exist now. But I have, like, the crazy thing about this is it's so vivid. And I have revisited this place, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 times throughout my life. And every time I do, I just know my way around. Nothing is like, oh my gosh, this is curious and stuff like that. It's like so vivid, and I know it so well, in spite of a bunch of these places that are in the dream don't actually exist in real life. I don't know. It feels, maybe I'm tripping you out right now.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
I think it's really fun to be open-minded, remain open-minded for the power that we possess as human beings. And, I really truly believe that there's so much that we don't understand, things that are going to be unlocked with the help of AI. And I do think that we're going to go through a getting to know ourselves and just the wonders of how amazing the human mind is, the human brain, and the way that we connect into the collective consciousness, the collective knowledge and wisdom that is all around us. So anyway, that is all for this video. Sound off in the comments if you've had any similar stories or experiences, and what do you think? Do you think there is something to it? Do you think that we might be able to time travel? And if so, how do we hone these skills? How do we get better at it? I would love to harness this further, even if it just is lucid dreaming or such. But anyway, thank you for taking the time today, and I hope to see you back next time. Bye.